What's up, YouTube? OptoInfo back with another weekly video. Today's topic, transient smartphone blindness. This phenomenon was introduced to me by Dr. Margo, so shout out to him. And I wanted to share it with y'all today because it's topical because of Gasparilla. We got a bunch of pirates running around downtown here in Tampa. So what do pirates have to do with transient smartphone blindness? Well, it's the patch. What's up with patch? What the patch is? Why do pirates wear the patch? It could be that they just recently had cataract surgery, but the story I was told is that it actually has to do with dark adapting. So they're running around on top of the deck, getting blasted by the sun from above and reflecting off the water down below. Then they go under the deck. They don't have electricity to flip a switch, turn the light on. It's dark, and they're just getting blinded by the sun. They can't see anything now. So what they do is wear the patch, keep one eye dark adapted, so that when they go under the deck, they flip it over and they use that dark adapted eye to navigate around, do whatever they got to do, and they come back up, switch it back around. And I thought that was pretty clever. And that's what's happening essentially with transient smartphone blindness. So what is this transient smartphone blindness? Well, you can look the article up on New England Journal of Medicine. Show it to you real quick here. And what's going on is they've got a tablet or some type of screen or cell phone usually, and they're in bed it's dark in the house either at night or in the morning. Laying in bed, one eye gets covered by a blanket or a pillow or whatever, so it gets dark adapted while the other gets blasted by the screen for a long time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever. Then they get up, turn the screen off, the room's still dim. And they have this one eye that's been bleached, and then the other eye that's very sensitive because it's been dark adapted, and so they notice the disparity between the two, and that's what prompts them to seek medical attention and come see you. So and oftentimes I'll tell you two stories where the patients that I've seen that had costly workups when it really wasn't necessary. Anyways, this article this graph in the article is pretty neat. So ignore everything here, just look at the bottom for a moment where it says minutes in dark. So this is just this just shows how we become more sensitive as we are in darkness. So the y-axis, this is really bright light, and down here is really dim light. So as we spend time in darkness, we get more and more sensitive, and this is about 100 times more sensitive after we've been in darkness for 20 minutes. So that's pretty credible. I mean, that's pretty incredible. And then this other one, it shows that it's more than just your pupil getting big. It's the retina. The retina gets bleached, or whatever the opposite of bleached is, it gets more sensitive. So here the dashed line is a dark adapted eye. And what they've done is, in this situation, they've bleached one eye for 20 minutes. And then they removed the cover and did a flash bulb and compared the sensitivities. And the dashed line here, which is the dark adapted eye, is almost twice as sensitive as the other eye. So I liked that graph. I like the way they did that study. Anyways, so that's easy. It's pretty simple. I had two cases. Both of mine had a little twist on them, and they were both missed by at least one other attending level physician, ophthalmologist, at an outside institution, and referred to us. And I, as the lowly resident, caught it. So you can do the same thing. I'm sure, cell phones are ubiquitous, and we always use them at nighttime. You're going to come across this in residency. So it's just a matter of being aware of it in order to recognize it when it's staring you in the face. So the two that I had a little twist. I want to share that with you. One guy was an internal medicine doctor. He was telling me that he'd sit down in his office at night, in the evening. It's all dark. The laptop's up. He was doing his charting on Epic, hours at a time. Then he'd finish, close the laptop, go to the kitchen typically, and that's what he would notice, the disparity. And he was concerned he was having a stroke or something. He initially had a whole amaurosis workup, and then he was seeing us. And I realized, this has happened 3 or 4 times, the same scenario every single time. The laptop getting up, it's at nighttime, he's indoors, he's in good shape. This is not, he's young, relatively speaking. This was not an amaurosis picture. So, but the problem was he wasn't laying in bed. He didn't have one eye that was being covered by some sheets or pillows or something. And so I couldn't figure it out. But it's like it had to be this. It had to be related to bleaching one of his eyes with the screen time. And then it hit me. Oh, what if one eye was drifting? And he looked to be ortho and primary when we were talking, and I was like, well, let me just mess with him. I started testing his, doing the alternate cross cover test, and I realized he had aphoria. And then it broke down. He had an intermittent XT. And so he was doing this at night and he was tired. I'm sure one eye was defoveating, one eye was drifted, and the macula was being dark adapted, while the other was getting bleached. And then he'd shut his laptop and he'd get up, a dark environment, his brain would realize, oh, this eye over here can see a lot better. And so he would tune into that. And then he would compare and notice, oh man, I'm going blind in my left eye. And so that was a cool puzzle. And then the other story, another patient I had, this was another, very observant, high-class individual. It happened to them, young, great condition, not an amaurosis type picture. It happened to her when she would said she'd wake up real early, 4 a.m. and she'd get on her phone and answer emails primarily. And she would do so when she was standing a lot. And I was like, okay, again, like in the kitchen. This is the story she was telling me. And I was like, man, there's no way that she's blocking one eye. She's standing up in the kitchen. I just like, oh, you know what? I've seen this before. I tested it. No strabismus. I was like, dang. And then we realized, me and my attending were examining her. We kept having to move her hair out of the way. Like in the slit lamp, the hair would come down and block her left eye. Just to move it out of the way. Testing her vision at near, she'd be doing this number, several times as I'm testing her vision. And then we started to talk about that. And I really thought, you know what, that could be it. And then I got more and more convinced that's got to be it. And she's like, yeah, I do this all the time. And it wasn't just like one hair; it was a whole frond or whatever. And so it could have definitely done it. And so I said, you know what? That's what I think it is. My attending was like, Mark, you're crazy. But I said, no, this is it. And so I said, go home and play with it. Try it out. Let that hair block your vision for a while. Blast the other eye for a good 20, 30 minutes and see if it makes a difference. And sure enough, she did it. Well, first off, she didn't do it for 3 days. She decreased the brightness. She was conscious about, she made it a point to not have one eye blocked for 3 days, no symptoms. Because when it did happen about 3 or 4 days in a row, then when we saw her, she stopped that, made the appropriate changes, symptoms were gone. Then on the 4th day, she started trying to provoke it again, and sure enough, it came back. So she wrote me this big email. She was so happy and grateful. And she actually got spared the, thousands of dollar workup. So, so transient smartphone blindness, you will see this as a resident, and you may be the only one that is familiar with it. So, keep it in mind whenever you see an amaurosis patient or you hear about transient smartphone loss, but it's a young person and doesn't quite fit. And this is the one time where you got to stop for a second and ask the patient a few questions as opposed to just blast them in the eye with the indirect and figuring it out from there. So, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. All right. Have a good one. Peace.